Manchester United are secretly preparing to drop a massive 80 million euros to snatch the most exciting Spanish wonderkid in the world right from under their rivals. Meanwhile, Julián Álvarez has sparked an absolute frenzy among the European elite by demanding a bizarre exit from Atletico. Over in Catalonia, Barcelona are plotting a cheeky raid to steal a crucial winger right out of the Chelsea dressing room, while Manchester City are preparing to throw absolutely everything they have at a colossal swoop for Dembélé. All this and much more in today's episode. Let's try to hit 250 likes on this video, and we'll be back tomorrow with more transfer madness. Hit that like button and let's dive in. Manchester City look like they've found a pretty radical solution to their biggest on-pitch headache. Right now, the entire attacking threat of this squad rests squarely on Erling Haaland's shoulders. If the Norwegian finds the net, City get the win. If he draws a blank, things get painful quickly because the rest of the forward line just can't pick up the slack. So, what does Pep Guardiola decide to do about it? He goes shopping for the reigning Ballon d'Or winner. According to Spanish outlet Fichajes, City's #1 target this summer is Ousmane Dembélé. Yes, that Dembélé. The same guy who spent the last 3 years at PSG evolving from an unpredictable talent with endless drama off the pitch into the best footballer on the planet. And while we're on the topic of transformations, it would be brilliant if my loyal TV viewers could also transform from silent sofa dwellers munching on crisps into people who actually tap the like button. Is there some kind of paywall on your TV remote, or does the button shock you when you press it? Look, if Dembélé can sort himself out and become world-class, then surely you can handle pressing one single button. I have full faith in you. Things are already moving behind the scenes. City sporting director Hugo Viana recently sat down for an unofficial chat with Moussa Sissoko, who represents the French star. Nobody has slid any contracts across the table yet, but the English side are probing very hard. They want a crystal clear picture of every possible scenario before the window swings open. The strategy at the Etihad is incredibly straightforward to understand. Ousmane is 28 now, which puts him right at the peak of his career. Even this season, when some of his old injury issues started flaring up again, the stats tell the whole story. 12 goals and 7 assists from 27 appearances. The Frenchman has completely proven he can deliver at the highest level. City are desperate for a versatile forward like him to take the weight off Haaland's back. But prizing the PSG star away from the French capital is going to be an absolute war. Arsenal are already keeping close tabs on the situation, and you can bet other Premier League giants will try to hijack this deal if they get the chance. The battle for Dembélé is heading straight into the boardrooms, and this one is shaping up to be a monumental clash. Tottenham are properly at a crossroads right now, and it's getting harder to ignore. On paper, with the names they've got and the money spent, this club should be scrapping it out for the top 4. Instead, they just keep sinking further into a mess. According to The Independent, Spurs have already started ripping things apart behind the scenes, looking at a full structural rebuild while simultaneously working out who's going to replace the manager. They've made contact with Dougie Freedman, and they want him leading a massive overhaul of the entire football operation. This guy at Crystal Palace has been considered one of the sharpest recruitment minds in the country for years now. Also on the shortlist for the sporting director role is Thiago Pinto, who's currently running things as chief exec over at Bournemouth. So, clearly the penny has dropped at boardroom level. Just swapping out the manager isn't going to fix this anymore. They need to rip the whole system out and start again. Right now, the whole thing is propped up by Igor Tudor, and it's looking shakier by the day. Results under the Croatian have completely nosedived. The underlying numbers have tanked. Whatever faith the board had in his tactical vision looks like it's basically gone. He keeps trying to hammer this rigid approach into the squad, but all it's doing is creating more disorder. Where there should be structure and stability, you're just getting total chaos. If things keep going south, one option reportedly on the table is Sean Dyche, and that would be a seriously hard swerve in direction. Dyche is the textbook crisis manager. He's the kind of bloke you call when the building's on fire, and you just need someone to keep you in the league. For a team that looks genuinely lost right now, you can see why that makes sense on some level. But there are big complications here. Word is, he's really not a fan of being parachuted in as a short-term firefighter, because he wants a proper long-term project he can build something with. Then, you've got the contractual situation hanging over from his exit at Nottingham Forest. This is where it gets genuinely wild from an irony standpoint. If Dyche does end up sitting in the Spurs dugout, then two managers who both coached at Forest this season, him and Nuno Espírito Santo, could in theory be the ones who send this club tumbling into the championship. Just picture how that would look from the outside. It's properly mad. The next few months for Spurs are going to decide way more than just who sits in the hot seat. They're going to define the entire direction this club takes going forward. The simple fact that they're already giving serious thought to bringing in a survival specialist tells you everything about where they are right now. A club that was meant to be pushing for Champions League football is now desperately trying to stop itself from sliding into the abyss. Casemiro is packing his bags, and it's been officially confirmed that the Brazilian is leaving Manchester United on a free this summer. That's a massive hole in the holding midfield that United urgently need to fill, and Ederson from Atalanta has popped straight back up on their radar. Right now, there's a proper transfer scramble kicking off around this player. Just a few days ago, the Italian press were hammering the same story, claiming the 26-year-old midfielder practically had his flight to Madrid booked, with an apparently bulletproof agreement already in place with Atletico. The logic from the insiders was plain to see. Atletico already snatched Ademola Lookman from Bergamo in January. The relationship is well established, and the club bosses clearly get on like a house on fire. Sounds like a done deal, doesn't it? Well, you'd better pump the brakes on that one. The team over at Tuttomercato Web have completely killed those rumors off. They say yes, the Spanish giants do genuinely fancy the player, but there's still a huge gap between showing interest and actually getting ink on paper. So why didn't anyone come in and get Ederson in January? Really straightforward, actually. Atalanta just shut the door completely. Shipping out both Lookman and their key central midfielder in the same window would have been like shooting themselves right in the foot. The Brazilian was basically told to hang tight and wait for the summer. But now, Atalanta have zero reason to keep blocking his way out. Keep your eyes on the numbers, because this is where it gets properly tasty. Atalanta used to have a whopping €60 million price tag slapped on their main man. But back in November, the player's agent Andre Curie dropped a proper bombshell. Ederson is definitely changing clubs in the summer, and the price tag is going to plummet to somewhere between 30 and 40 million. In today's market, that is an absolute steal. So why such a massive drop? His contract runs until 2027, and that puts Atalanta in a really tight spot. They either take the money now or risk letting him walk for next to nothing a year down the line. All of that creates the perfect storm for Man United. Landing a top-quality specialist to directly replace Casemiro for around 30 million is borderline transfer theft. United are still actively pushing on this deal, and with that kind of discount sitting right there on the table, you can be sure they'll be going all out until it's done. Julián Álvarez has just lobbed a grenade into the transfer window. The Argentine ripped Tottenham apart in the Champions League and stuck two past them in Europe. He then strolled up to the cameras and dropped a speech that surely had the Atletico Madrid hierarchy breaking into a cold sweat. You've got to love these moments. First comes the classic media playbook. All the usual lines about social media stirring things up, how he's buzzing to be in Madrid, head down and working hard, fans showing him love. But the second journalist asked him point blank whether he'll still be at the club for 2026 to 27, the tap dancing starts. Maybe yes, maybe no, you never know. Come on, mate. You've just stuck a massive neon sign over the training ground saying, "Open for business," and the queue is already forming. French journalist Romain Collet-Gaudin reports that PSG have come flying into this race at full throttle. The Parisians sense a massive opportunity. After that, showing against Spurs, Luis Enrique is now completely sold on Alvarez. The boss is raving about his versatility and that mad engine he's got. For Paris, the Argentine could be a serious upgrade in the final third. Getting this deal over the line, though, will be a heavyweight battle. Barcelona are hovering, desperate to find an heir to Robert Lewandowski, and they fancy the 26-year-old forward as the ideal pick. But the real danger comes from England. Arsenal and Chelsea have both sunk their teeth into this one, and have no doubts, this isn't some agent planting stories to force a new deal at Atletico. Both London clubs are pushing hard. Julián himself is fully up for a return to the Premier League. He's given every indication that moving to London would work perfectly for him, and he could walk into just about any top side in Europe. And here's the best bit about all of this. Alvarez was genuinely struggling at the start of 2026, grinding out just 3 sorry goals from January onwards. But one standout night in the Champions League, and suddenly every big club in Europe has picked up the phone, so the picture we're left with is a tasty one. The player pledges total loyalty to his current side, while quietly putting feelers out elsewhere. If Barca can't pull together the funds to do business with Atletico, then a move to London or a fat deal from PSG looks like it's just a matter of when, not if, for Alvarez. Let's see who wins this tug-of-war. Barcelona are back shopping in Britain, and this time they've got their eyes locked on Chelsea's Pedro Neto. He's 26, and he's been the second most used attacker at Chelsea in the Premier League this season by minutes played. This isn't some squad filler. The bloke has been out there putting in serious shifts on the pitch. Enzo Maresca had full faith in him, and Liam Rosenior, who took over from the Italian at Stamford Bridge, has doubled down on that trust. According to Mundo Deportivo, the Barca executives are salivating over his versatility. Neto is at his best cutting in from the right, but he'll happily slot in on the left wing or play as a false nine if the gaffer needs him to. The obvious question pops up: where on earth do you slot him in when you've already got peak Lamine Yamal and Rafinha flying down both wings? Well, the answer sits on the bench. Marcus Rashford currently fills that premium backup role, but nobody knows if the Englishman will still be at Camp Nou come the summer. If Rashford does move on, Neto jumps straight to the top of that replacement shortlist. Big money moves like this don't happen just because the numbers look nice. Here's where Barca play their ace card: the player's agent, Jorge Mendes. The Portuguese super agent has deep and long-standing connections with the Barca hierarchy. That includes a strong personal relationship with sporting director DOKU. In modern football, backroom links can make or break a deal, and this is the kind of thing that could push a transfer through. Chelsea aren't about to roll over though. Neto is tied down until 2031 on a massive deal, so no one can strong-arm the Blues into selling. Yes, the club registered record financial losses after the 2024-25 campaign, so you'd expect a fire sale, right? Not a chance. Reports say Chelsea feel no pressure at all. They've got zero plans to dump key players just to balance the books. Don't forget they've also got Alejandro Garnacho competing on that flank. The Argentine hasn't nailed down a guaranteed starting berth just yet, but he's giving Neto a proper run for his money when it comes to game time. The scouting reports on Pedro back in Catalonia are glowing. His raw pace, his close control, his knack for ripping apart a defense all on his own. Let's see if Mendes can pull off another bit of phone magic, or if the London club dig their heels in and refuse to let their versatile gem go. There is a proper power struggle brewing behind closed doors at Manchester City, and it's all about Jeremy Doku. Team Talk are reporting that City's boardroom want to get the Belgian round the table for a fresh contract as early as this summer. Honestly, you can see exactly why they're scrambling to get this done. The lad's only 23, and he's already turned into an absolute cheat code for Pep Guardiola. Now, if you just glance at the bare numbers, 117 games and 17 goals across all comps, you might think that's decent, but nothing spectacular. But the thing is, his blistering pace and sheer brute force down that flank just blow the doors off any defense he comes up against. Doku brings incredible depth to the squad and keeps every single attacker on their toes, because nobody's spot is safe when he's fit and firing. City snapped him up back in 23, and his current contract expires in June 28. That leaves just 2 years on that deal. Right on cue, Atletico Madrid have popped up on the horizon looking very interested. So why exactly are the Spanish side chasing a Belgian winger? The reason is crystal clear. Madrid are facing a massive rebuild. There's a very real chance the club loses Julián Álvarez, and Antoine Griezmann's future past this season is properly hanging by a thread. If they lose both of those players in one go, that's a tactical catastrophe. Atletico are already desperately searching the market for top-level firepower, and Doku's name is underlined twice on their shortlist. It's not just Madrid either. Several other clubs are licking their lips over this situation. But let's not kid ourselves about how this works. Pulling a crucial player out of Manchester City is an incredibly expensive business, and there's no way around that. If Doku signs a new deal this summer, his valuation rockets straight into the stratosphere, and the Spanish side would have to completely empty the war chest to even get close. These next few months are going to be pivotal. Either City nail this down and lock the Belgian into the squad for the long haul, or Jeremy Doku turns into the single most exciting and talked about prospect of the entire transfer window. Remember the bombshell from last season? Nico Williams put pen to paper on a 10-year deal with Athletic Club, and everyone assumed the lad had committed to San Mamés for life, killing off every transfer rumor stone dead. But we all know how much a football contract is actually worth in this sport. Skip ahead a year, and the Spanish press is blowing up with reports that Bilbao are prepared to cash in on their golden boy this summer. Now, why on earth would they sell their biggest asset that quickly? The reason is glaringly obvious. Athletic are in desperate need of a full-scale rebuild. The Basque side are sitting in a miserable 10th place in La Liga right now, and the people upstairs need real money to reinforce across the squad. Under the terms of that mega deal, Nico's release clause is set at 100 million euros. But here's his actual output this season: 4 goals and 3 assists from 25 games across all competitions. Those numbers honestly don't scream 100 to million player. And you know whose numbers are also looking a bit light? Mine. Loads of you tune in for every single upload but completely ignore the subscribe button. Nico can at least blame his injuries for slowing him down. What's your excuse though? Have you got cramp in your clicking finger? Go and subscribe right now, before I have to sell this channel off the way the Basques are selling their star winger. So does all of this cool the interest in a 23-year-old winger? Absolutely not. Not even slightly. The big Premier League clubs have already smelled blood. Reports out of Spain suggest Bilbao are open to talking and would consider bids below the release clause. If someone slides around 80 million euros across the table, that should be enough to get the deal done. The two main hunters in this chase are Manchester United and Arsenal. Mikel Arteta has reportedly told his recruitment team directly to keep tabs on Williams. The Gunners are bracing for the potential exit of their current wide options, and the Spaniard ticks every single box on Arteta's wish list. Intermediaries have already tipped off the North London club that Nico is ready to go. Historically, he's always been attracted to the kind of projects that Arsenal and Barcelona represent. As things stand right now, United are actually the ones leading this race. The Red Devils are desperate for more quality and spark on the flanks. The big question though is whether spending 80 million on a player with a dodgy injury history is just too much of a gamble. The risk is enormous. No one's pretending otherwise. But Premier League clubs pay a premium for this kind of skill set. Electric pace, fearless one-on-one dribbling, and the ability to tear a backline to shreds single-handedly, that's a genuinely rare package. If Athletic do throw open the auction doors, we're in for one almighty scrap over this transfer. Who's going to be bold enough to put their money down first? We'll be keeping a very close eye on this one.